Please don't come to the gala tonight, Amanda. I don't want to explain our connection to my investors. My sister's text glowed on my phone screen, each word a sharp reminder of how far we'd come from sharing bunk beds and childhood dreams. My name is Amanda Chen, and at 34, I was reading a message from my sister Olivia, asking me to deny our relationship, the same sister whose life I'd funded for the past decade. I stared at my reflection in my office window, the Seattle skyline a fitting backdrop for this moment of clarity. The invitation to Olivia's company gala sat on my desk, its gold lettering announcing her as the CEO of Summit Technologies, a position she'd achieved through my financial support, my connections, and years of sacrificing my own dreams to fuel hers. It's just business. Another text buzzed through. You understand, right? Your whole teacher thing doesn't exactly fit the image I'm trying to project. My teacher thing. She meant my position as head of STEM education at one of Seattle's most prestigious private schools. The career I loved, even though I could have pursued the same corporate path she had. The job that had allowed me to support her dreams while still making a difference in children's lives. The irony wasn't lost on me. 10 years ago, when Olivia was struggling through business school, she'd been proud to call me her sister. Back then, my teacher's salary and careful savings had paid her tuition, covered her rent, funded her networking events. Every time she needed money for a professional wardrobe or a business opportunity, I dipped into my savings without hesitation. Remember when we were kids? She'd say, hugging me after each check cleared. You always took care of me. One day, I'll make you proud. I had been proud, watching her climb the corporate ladder. Each promotion, each success, felt partly mine. I believed in her vision, her potential. Even when our parents expressed doubts about her ambitious plans, I defended her. Olivia just needs a chance, I'd insisted, writing another check. When she started Summit Technologies 3 years ago, I liquidated my retirement fund to help with the seed money. She cried then, promising this would be the last time she needed my help. You're the best sister anyone could ask for, she'd said. Now apparently, I was an embarrassment to be hidden away. My phone buzzed again. A message from our mother. Amanda, please don't make things difficult for your sister. This is her big night. You know how important image is in her world. Of course Mom would take her side, she always had, ever since we were children. Olivia was the pretty one, the ambitious one, the one destined for greatness. I was just the reliable one, the sensible one, the one who would understand. I picked up the invitation, running my finger over the embossed logo. Summit Technologies had grown exponentially over the past year, making headlines with innovative software solutions. Olivia's face had been featured in business magazines, her story celebrated as a self-made success. Self-made. The word tasted bitter. Another text from Olivia. I've told everyone I'm an only child. It's just easier that way. You get it, right? It's not personal, just business. Not personal. Like the Christmas dinners I missed to work extra tutoring jobs to fund her dreams. Like the vacation I'd canceled to help her make rent. Like the house down payment I'd given up to invest in her startup. I opened my desk drawer and pulled out a folder, one I'd hoped I'd never need to use. Inside were copies of every check I'd written, every transfer I'd made, every loan document I'd signed. Years of financial support meticulously documented by my accountant, who'd warned me to keep records just in case. Your sister's using you, he'd said. People who climb that fast often forget who helped them up. I hadn't believed him then. Family was family after all. My phone buzzed one more time. A photo from Olivia, her in a stunning designer dress, standing in her penthouse office. Getting ready for tonight. The investors are going to love the new project announcement. Thanks for understanding about the gala. Maybe we can do lunch next week. I looked at my own outfit, a simple but elegant black dress I planned to wear to the gala. The same dress I'd worn to our parents' anniversary dinner, where Olivia had proudly introduced me to her early investors as my brilliant sister, my biggest supporter. That was before Summit Technologies hit it big, before she decided I didn't fit her narrative. I picked up my phone, my fingers hovering over the keyboard. A response formed in my mind, but I held back. Tonight wasn't the time. Let her have her gala, her moment in the spotlight. Let her play the role of the self-made success story. Tomorrow would be soon enough to remind her that every story has its price, and some deaths can't be hidden behind designer dresses and corporate success. I slipped the folder into my bag and turned off my office light, I had some calls to make and a lesson to teach about the true meaning of family and success. The morning after the gala, I sat in my office, scrolling through social media coverage of the event. Olivia beamed in every photo, surrounded by Silicon Valley elites and potential investors. The business journals were already buzzing about Summit Technologies' announcement of a revolutionary new software platform, one that would disrupt the entire industry. What the gleaming headlines didn't mention was the initial research for that platform. Research I'd funded 2 years ago when Olivia had come to me, eyes bright with excitement, talking about her groundbreaking idea. My phone lit up with a text from my mother. The gala was wonderful. Olivia's speech about building everything from scratch was so inspiring. I hope you're not upset about last night. Building everything from scratch. Right. I opened my email and began composing a message to James Martinez, my accountant. Time to activate Plan B, I wrote, attaching scanned copies of loan agreements and bank transfers. Years of financial support meticulously documented. James replied within minutes. Are you sure about this? Once we start, there's no going back. Was I sure? I thought about the previous night, imagining Olivia champagne glass in hand, telling her carefully crafted story of solo success. How many times had she used that story to erase me from her narrative? Unsure, I replied. Start the process. My next call was to Michael Chang, a business reporter who'd been trying to interview me for months about educational technology in private schools. He answered on the second ring. Amanda, finally returning my calls. I have a different story you might be interested in, I said, keeping my voice steady. How would you like an exclusive about the real story behind Summit Technologies' success? The silence on the other end was brief but heavy. I'm listening. As I outlined the basics, Michael's excitement grew palpable. This would be huge, he said, but I'll need documentation. Proof. Check your email in an hour. You'll have everything you need. Just as I hung up, another text from Olivia appeared. Last night was amazing. The investors are fully on board. Summit is going to be bigger than we ever imagined. Lunch next week. My treat. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened my personal safe and pulled out one final document, something not even James knew about. A patent application from 3 years ago, filed before Summit Technologies existed. Before Olivia had her groundbreaking idea. The original research, the initial concept, it had been mine. A side project I developed while teaching, a way to revolutionize educational software. I'd shared it with Olivia over dinner one night, excited to get her business perspective. 2 months later, she'd come back to me with her brilliant new idea, conveniently forgetting where it had originated. I'd let it go then, happy to see her succeed, willing to remain in the background. But now, my phone rang, Olivia's face flashing on the screen. I let it go to voicemail. Minutes later, a text. Hey, why aren't you responding? Did you see the news coverage? Everyone's talking about Summit. I thought maybe we could do a family dinner this weekend. My treat. Family dinner. Now she wanted to acknowledge our connection. I started typing a response, then deleted it. Actions would speak louder than words. By afternoon, James had filed the initial paperwork. Michael had his documentation, and I had sent one email to Summit Technologies' board of directors with proof of their CEO's forgotten financial obligations and questionable intellectual property claims. My phone buzzed again, this time with a news alert. Breaking. Questions arise about Summit Technologies' origins. Exclusive report by Michael Chang. Seconds later, my phone exploded with notifications. Olivia was calling repeatedly. My mother's texts grew increasingly panicked. Even my father, who rarely got involved in our dynamics, left a voicemail. I turned my phone off and drove home, stopping to pick up takeout from our childhood favorite Chinese restaurant, the same place where I first shared my software idea with Olivia, watching her eyes light up with recognition of its potential. At home, I poured a glass of wine and turned my phone back on. The messages had multiplied. Olivia, what have you done? The board is asking questions. Investors are calling. Mom, Amanda, how could you do this to your sister? Dad, call me, we need to talk. I opened the last email from James. It's done. The board has called an emergency meeting. They can't ignore this. As I sat there, eating my lo mein and watching the sunset over Seattle, I felt surprisingly peaceful. Sometimes the hardest lessons come from those closest to us. Olivia had taught me that success without integrity is merely a facade. Now it was my turn to teach her something about the true cost of forgetting your roots. My phone lit up with one final text from Olivia. Please, we need to talk. I can explain everything. I picked up my phone, ready at last to respond. It was time for a different kind of family reunion. The Summit Technologies boardroom was eerily quiet as I walked in, my heels clicking against the polished floor. Olivia sat at the head of the table, her perfect image finally cracking. Her designer suit couldn't hide the dark circles under her eyes, the slight tremor in her hands as she gripped her water glass. Amanda, she started, her voice wavering. You didn't have to come here. Actually, I did. I placed my folder on the table. The board requested my presence. Something about clarifying the origins of Summit's core technology. The board members exchanged glances. These were the same people who, according to Olivia, couldn't know about her teacher's sister. Now they were looking at me with intense interest. Ms. Chen, the board chairman, spoke. Your documentation is comprehensive. Why come forward now? I met Olivia's eyes across the table. Because success built on lies isn't success at all. It's just a house of cards waiting to fall. The next hour was brutal. I laid out everything, the years of financial support, the original patent application, the trail of my research that had mysteriously transformed into Summit's flagship product. Olivia's face grew paler with each revelation. Why didn't you say something sooner? One board member asked. Because I believed in my sister, I replied simply. I thought supporting her dreams meant more than recognition. I was wrong. Finally, Olivia broke. I can explain, she said, her voice cracking. Amanda's right. She funded everything. The technology, it was her idea first. I saw the potential. I knew how to make it marketable. I thought if we presented it right. You thought erasing me from the story made it better. I finished for her. Made you look more impressive. The chairman cleared his throat. This is problematic. Very problematic. What followed was inevitable. The board called for an immediate restructuring. Summit Technologies would need new leadership, transparent acknowledgement of its true origins, and a complete overhaul of its public image. As the meeting ended, Olivia caught my arm. You've ruined everything, she whispered, tears in her eyes. No, I corrected her gently. I fixed everything. Sometimes the truth hurts, but lies hurt more in the long run. Outside the boardroom, my phone buzzed with a message from Mom. The board called us. Is it true? All of it. Every word, I texted back. Check your email. I've sent you copies of everything. That evening, as news of Summit's leadership shakeup hit the media, I received an unexpected visitor. Olivia, still in her business suit but looking somehow smaller, stood at my door. Can I come in? She asked quietly. I stepped aside, letting her enter the modest house she'd once mocked as settling for less. Why now? She asked, sinking onto my couch. You could have exposed everything years ago. I sat across from her, studying the sister I protected for so long. Because you needed to learn something more important than business success. You needed to learn about integrity. I've lost everything, she whispered. No, I corrected her. You've lost the illusion. Everything real, your talent, your business acumen, your potential, that's still there. You just need to rebuild it honestly this time. The board wants you to take over as CEO, she said, watching my reaction. I smiled. I know, I turned them down. Her head snapped up. What? Why? Because I love teaching, because success isn't just about money or status. It's about being true to yourself and treating others with respect. Tears started rolling down her cheeks. I don't know how to fix this. Start by remembering who you really are, I said. Not the facade you created, but the sister who used to share my bunk bed and dream big dreams with me. The next few months brought changes none of us expected. Summit Technologies, under new leadership but with my guidance as a technical advisor, refocused its mission on educational technology. Olivia, stripped of her CEO title but retained as a project manager, slowly began rebuilding her reputation, this time on a foundation of truth. Our parents, finally seeing the full picture, had their own redemption to work through. Mom's constant favoritism gave way to a more balanced appreciation of both her daughters. Dad, in his quiet way, started showing up at my school events, proudly introducing me as my daughter, the educator who's changing lives. As for me, I kept teaching, but now I also consult for tech companies, helping them develop ethical educational software. My original patent, finally properly credited, has opened doors I never expected. Last week, Olivia came to observe my class. She watched as I helped my students work through complex problems, celebrating their small victories. I get it now, she said afterward. This is real success, making a difference, being proud of who you are, not just what you appear to be. I hugged her then, feeling the sister I'd almost lost finally returning. Welcome back, I whispered. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying someone's world. It's about forcing them to see the truth, even when it hurts. Because only through truth can we build something real, something lasting. And that's a success story worth telling.